Is this heaven?
No, it's a podcast. Welcome to the Field of Geeks podcast.
Hello and welcome to Field of Geeks podcast. I'm Josh. Today I got a special guest on here, Nathan Beatty, technical director for CiP Network. You're also an actor, voice actor, and of course podcaster. I'm jealous. That's a great resume so far. That's great. Creativity in Progress was a show I was actually a guest on weeks back. Had a lot of fun. And of course, I'll have Nathan explain, the premise of that show. But Steve, I believe, will be guesting on it very soon. Really anxious to see that. So yeah, Nathan, please tell us what geeks you out the most, I guess. And of course, feel free to plug away all the stuff you guys do.
Well, thank you so much, Josh. And thank you for having me on this podcast.
Absolutely.
This is great. And you were a fantastic guest. We loved having you on.
Well, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. And basically, like, just to give your listeners an idea of what the show is, it's basically a writer's room. We came up with the idea of like because a lot of people are like, I really wish I could be a fly on the wall in a writer's room. So what we did was we were like, well, let's just do that. And so we kind of mixed it a little bit with like rolling a character in a weird way.
Yeah.
We like D&D, so there's that too. But essentially what we do is at the beginning of the show, we either start completely fresh, or if we have a guest, usually like you did, you bring a character on, and like a character of yours, and we use that as one of our characters, and then we roll dice for either the other character archetypes that we want to use in the story, and then we also roll dice for genre, time, setting, and then we tell a story using those parameters. So we kind of let the dice control a little bit about what the story is going to be, and then we go from there and just create the story. And while we do that, we have Ari Orner, who also is a artist for the hit YouTube show Critical Role. She'll probably be mad at me that I said that, but I'll do it anyway.
Well deserved.
Yeah, well deserved. She's a fantastic artist.
Yes.
She is amazing. And while we write the story, she draws one of the characters. Usually, if we have a guest on, she draws the guest's character, and she does a fantastic job. I just love it. It's one of my favorite things every week is watching her draw while we write,
Yeah.
while we do the thing. It's just a lot of fun. We've been doing this for about a year, having a great time. We have other shows on the network too. It's the CiP Network, the Creativity in Progress Network, and we have other shows. We have Noobs in Progress, which is where Ethan and I watch stuff that usually both of us haven't seen before, and then we talk about it. Our favorite episode recently is we watched Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that movie was awesome. Amazing movie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's just, so we do that, and then I have a couple of shows on the network that, The Hardest Thing You'll Ever Do, FDS, just about FDS is about Magic the Gathering. The Hardest Thing You'll Ever Do is more like a personal vlog. And yeah, we just do a ton of stuff. Ethan has a show on the network called Loose Cannons, where it's a debate show that drops on Sundays, so there should be one dropping today. Yeah, we're pumping out a lot of content. So come on, check it out, because I'm sure there's probably something there for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Please, everyone go check that out, subscribe, and help support. That's awesome. Yeah, I had a great time. That was definitely a lot of creativity in that little group setting we had, and that was really cool. I've never been part of it. It kind of took a while for it to dawn on me. I was in a writer's room. I guess it just took me a while to get the concept. But I even said it, I think it was the second episode, the last, because it's 2 parts I was on. Like, I was like, hey, this is like in a writer's room. And you guys were like, yeah, that's what this is. Like, oh, duh. Yep. Yeah, of course. I've never been in one before. It's really cool. And yeah, especially when an idea gets going and everyone's contributing. And it was really cool because, the character I brought to the table is a character I've had in mind since I was in high school. And it was really cool to redefine that and bring new ideas. So yeah, and of course the drawing was fantastic. That is so cool. That is so cool. She's very talented, and Ethan's been a friend of the show for a long time. We've had him on. Just fantastic stuff. Yeah, because he's also a comic book creator, and he's got a lot of great things out there. So yeah, you guys have, like you said, have a lot going on for everyone. First topic we could talk about, a real Transformer. Hasbro has launched a new Optimus Prime Transformer toy. Transforms with voice commands. It's 19 inches tall. It's got 27 servo motors, 5,000 components, 60 connected microchips, and a mobile app operates it. All for $6.99.
Whoa.
If you saw it, though, it's pretty damn cool. I don't know if I had an extra 700 lying around, maybe. I don't know. Not a huge Transformers fan. I do like them. Like the first movie a lot. But this is pretty damn cool. It's very close to it actually being fully realized, you know, like you saw in the cartoon. It's not life size, of course, but that would be kind of scary. But yeah, it's so cool. I actually watched Kevin Smith and Jay Muse showcase it on their Facebook channel, and yeah, it was awesome. They told it to roll out, and it did all these poses. Like, it's insane. Like, you know, the price, it's very pricey. But gosh, from what I saw, I thought it was, you know, probably in the thousands, maybe, just from what it can do. But I guess the question is, would you buy such a thing if you had extra cash on the side?
Oh man, like that's hard because you know there are so many things that $700 can buy.
I know, right?
You know, like it's kind of the same. It's because I wasn't. I was a fan of Transformers to a certain degree. Like I liked the cartoon as a kid. I watched the first movie. The movies started. They hit me at a point in my life where I kind of stopped going to movies all that much. So I saw the first one, but I haven't seen any of the others. And because it wasn't like the major fan base movie that I had growing up, I didn't really pursue it. So I probably wouldn't, but this is really cool though. Like this is, you know, an awesome toy. And if somebody, like, if it was on a discount, I might buy it.
Right. Maybe like half off, or how low would it have to go for you to maybe consider it? Would you say a couple hundred?
Yeah, a couple hundred.
Yeah.
But I also recognize that, like, you know, like it probably is worth, like, in terms of like what it is, like, and how much work they had to go into it.
Yeah.
700 doesn't seem that expensive for what it is. That's
what I feel. Yeah. And I think as long as you take good care of it, you could easily resell it for a good price still. You know, you get some money back.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't feel like something that would depreciate unless your kid grabbed it and just threw it around the house or in the yard. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing?
That's the thing. Like, that's the thing about these kinds of things that get me. And I fully, you know, and this is the struggle as a nerd parent, because, you know, you buy it and you're like, this is like the coolest thing. But then your kids see it and your kids want to play with it. And then you get that struggle. Like, am I going to be the, am I going to be like that asshole collector parent that's like, no, you can't touch it. It is not for you. It is for me.
Right.
You know, Will Ferrell in the Lego Movie.
I was just going to say that. Yep. Yeah.
And you know, it's hard. It's hard because, you know, it's like, I'm gonna spend $700 on something and then like let my 4-year-old play with it. I don't know.
Only if you're like a billionaire, I guess. But yeah, I know it's like,
I guess.
And then also it's like, I look probably silly protecting this toy. That's what it is. It is a toy that, you know, should be played with, but you know, the price tag does not help me want to do that. Like, I'll just put it on a shelf. It looks great. It's kind of like, I don't know if you ever saw the SNL skit about the Star Wars toys. They did it like around, I think when The Force Awakens came out, and the kids are like, yeah, we could do this and that. And then the adults come in and say, or you can put it on this shelf and leave it in the box. And then in the end of the commercial, they just close the glass, you know, cabinet over it. And they're just like, that's awesome. And the kids are just kind of like bummed out. Like, what is this? But it's so true as you get older. It's like, like I bought a Captain America shield replica for like $100, and that was big purchase for me. But, you know, it doesn't feel as fragile. And mainly I basically bought it to just be a decorative piece on my wall.
Yeah.
So like this toy, I think could be that way too. And you get it out here and there and show what it can do and stuff. But yeah, you'd have to like put it back, unless you don't care.
Yeah. Funny you say that because the other couple weeks ago, I went into my to my local game store, and and for your listeners to know, I am a massive fan of Magic the Gathering. I played a lot. I'm kind of a little too obsessed with it, frankly. It's probably an addiction at this point. But I went in and they were like, "Oh, Nate, we got something. We want to show you something," because they know I'm a pretty big collector.
Sure.
And they show me that they had Hasbro has a limited, because Hasbro also makes Magic the Gathering. When Hasbro had HasCon a couple years ago, they made limited edition Magic cards. A couple of them were Transformers, a couple of them were My Little Pony, and I can't remember that. I think there was another property that they did. Well, somebody had sold them a couple the set of the My Little Pony ones. And they know my daughter really likes My Little Pony.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Here," and and the price tag was a couple $100 because these are super rare.
Right.
And I was like, I'm sitting there, and like I'm torn and everything. And I go home and I mention to my wife, I say, yeah, they showed it to me, and because I'm a fairly good customer, they were willing to give me a pretty good discount on it. Wow. And I said, yeah, and they were going to give me this discount, and I almost did it. And she was like, she is way too young for that. And I was like, it's so cute to me. You think it's for her. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
Because, like, if I'm going to spend that much money on cards, I'm not going to give it to my daughter. But I recognize like how ridiculous that is.
Right.
Like these are My Little Pony Magic Gathering cards. Like, so I ended up not buying them. So I had to, but,
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know the feeling. We've, taking my daughter to some movies where we got some cool like popcorn buckets for kids. I'll say that, kids. And there's a Spider-Man one, and it opened his top of his head. It opens and stuff. Kind of creepy because it's a head. But anyway, I was like, yeah, this is yours, sure. But you know what? It would just look really good downstairs, And right now it's on my desk. It's a headphone holder. So. She keeps saying, "That's mine." I'm like, I know, but it just looks cool, doesn't it? Like right there. Besides, anything that goes in your room goes missing. So, I'd rather not have that happen.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we don't want to lose it, do we?
Yeah. No. Put it on a shelf. Yeah, that's toys.
Admire it from afar.
Exactly. Well, that's just like there's I love Ninja Turtles, and there's Ninja Turtle sets they have now, and they're really pristine looking, and yeah, they're a couple $100, and it's like, wow, I love that so much, but I don't know if I want to pay that much for them, like, would I really? Once you have the money, I think that's a new stage in the game. Is like, I have the money, it's more painful now if I spend it on this, like before it's like, yeah, no doubt I'm gonna buy that, and now it's like, well, I could buy other things.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there's so much more that $700 could buy.
I know.
So many more.
Oh, I know. Hasbro makes a lot. Actually, Hasbro did make my shield. They actually had an Iron Man helmet. I regret not getting. It was each thing they put out was like $100, and now I think the shield's still reasonable to buy, but the Iron Man helmet's like double the price because you can put it on. It lights up. It's super cool. I should have gotten it.
I was walking through a convention last year, and like the guy could tell, like he saw me and he was yeah, that's that guy who wishes he was Robert Downey Jr. Come over here. And like he didn't even have to say come over here. All he had to do was he hit, as I was walking by, they had an Iron Man helmet that was sitting on the shelf. And right as it was just about to go out of my peripheral vision, he hit a button and it straight up, like the movie, opened up.
Oh.
And just full on opened up. And obviously...
Empty your wallet.
Yeah, and I was just like, what is that? He was like, yeah, cool, isn't it? And he was showing me like all the cool stuff it could do. And he said, yeah, and when it's on your face, it like you can see through it, but then it had like a fake, it projected, it looked like light, like it was Jarvis, the whole
sure.
the HUD. But but it was obviously it just did one thing, like it didn't,
Right.
and also you didn't have Paul Bettany in your ear going, no, I don't think that is a good altitude to go to. You didn't have that happening.
That'd be cool if it came with his phone number and you could just call him and just he talk you through things.
Just Paul Bettany like in the tub and his phone rings.
He's like, I'm hungover, but here we go. Yes, you are special. You are important. Just whatever you want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. But like, but then he buried the lead though. He went and like the price was like, it was over $1,500. Like it was really expensive.
Oh,
and and then the other thing I did mention, it was made of metal. Like it was,
right.
It was metal full on. And like it looked like a movie accurate replica. Sure. And, once he said the price, I was like, yeah, that's not what I thought it would cost. Thanks. Bye. You have a nice day. Good luck with selling these.
Let me go get you a check. I'll be right back.
Yeah, exactly.
Just post-date it.
That's my wife. That's
yeah, you don't even have to. It's like the Force. You know what she's going to say.
Oh, yeah. There's the two thresholds. You've got the threshold of, yeah, I can buy this, and she finds out she's not going to get mad. No big deal.
Right.
But then there's that squishy zone, and for everybody it's different, where I could buy this, and as long as she doesn't find out, I'll be okay.
Like, oh, they double charged me. Well, they do a lot of charitable work, so I think a lot of that went to that. So yeah. Feed whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I deserve this. Yeah, super cool.
Why was there such a large Amazon charge? Oh, well, those chairs we bought, lawn chairs we bought, were really expensive. I thought they were only like $50. Oh no, did I say 50? I meant 500. They were like
sorry, I left off a zero.
Yeah,
you said yes, so I did it.
Yeah,
so, whatever.
That's no trouble.
Oh, I remember the first con I went to. I saw a Ghostbusters car, from the real Ghostbusters animated show. I lost it years ago. I think my dad had it in a storage unit and it got robbed. So I lost that, and I love that car because it's one of the best birthday memories I ever had. He picked me up. I don't think he forgot it was my birthday. No, I don't think he did, but he didn't have a gift yet. And so this is like the coolest thing ever. Like he drove me to Kmart and he's like, pick out what you want. And I think I picked that out and a couple figures, and I was just in heaven. It was so great. And I saw one at the con and I almost was like, I should get this. It was like I was $100. And I didn't get it. I'm glad I waited though, because now they've redone or reproduced from the molds, and it's like the same stuff. And it's like, I'm so glad I did not spend that much for that. It probably does hurt, selling it in cons, but it's so cool to see these figures back on the shelf. I haven't seen the car in person. I've seen pictures and it looks exactly like I remember, and I'm sure it's not $100. So I might have to get that.
I saw Egon at the store the other day, or a couple weeks ago, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is like, I'm 12 in Zayres, right? I can't believe there was a store called Zayres. Anyway, but I'm standing in the middle of Zayres looking at this thing, like it's what it felt like, it's amazing. I saw those and I was like, oh God, they are geniuses, because there's no 12-year-olds buying those. It's a bunch of,
of course,
30-plus-year-old guys who are like, Jack,
Yeah, I mean, it used to feel weird going in those aisles as a grown person, but, for the last 10 years, maybe, there's been other grown people in there. It's like, we're on the same boat here. It's like, we're getting them for our kids. Yeah, that's what we're looking for, Yeah,
our kids, our children.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we get. My dad bought some Legos directly from the company about 4 years ago. But like, one of the benefits of that is that every month now we get a Lego catalog that comes in the mail.
Wow.
And, I don't think my dad's looked at it since they've come. Like, I don't think he's seen one since then, because I immediately grab it, and then the kids grab it, and then the kids eventually destroy it. But recently, I think in anticipation for Afterlife, they have released a Lego kit that's $200 of the Ghostbuster car, Vecto 1.
Oh, and yeah.
It's huge, super detailed. Well, my son saw it, and he's like, I want the ghost car. I want the ghost car. I'm like, But what's funny is I have one of the other ones. Like they made one a couple years ago that was smaller, and it's and my wife bought it for me. Well, it's still in the box and it's hanging up on my wall. We saw it, and he was like, "Ghost Car," and I'm like, I literally was thinking, maybe I'll buy myself the big one and
there you
give
go.
him the
Have this one. Yes. I think I have that one you're talking about. I built that years back, and it was really fun to do. And yeah, it took me a long time. Like I haven't really built anything big since then, but yeah, I've seen at Target the Afterlife car, like it's diecast, I believe, and that's like $60. Not terrible. The rust on it turns me off, though. It's like I kind of want the pristine Ghostbusters mobile. I don't want. Like I get what the new movie's going for, but it's like that's not really something I want to buy. I don't like that look for the movie. I do because I know they'll fix it up. So maybe if it came with a kit that would fix it, that would be great. But I am super excited though about that movie.
Me too.
Everything feels right this time, and I don't know if you've seen the Mini Puff commercial yet, or not commercial, it's a clip.
Yes.
I actually thought it was a commercial though, because I thought maybe they were going to put these out, and I had no idea. It just didn't dawn on me this was a clip from the movie. Yeah, man, that was crazy. I was like, holy crap, there's a bunch of them.
Oh man, and when it started and it had the music from the library scene and from the first movie, it was like they know what they're doing.
Right.
They definitely did it right this time. I'm really excited to see it.
I am
really
too.
am.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Reitman, son of Ivan, who directed the first two, created it, helped create it. Dan Aykroyd pretty much created most of it, but this is just going to be, this is what 2015 should have been. And I never hated that movie because there are women, I just didn't like, all this history. Like, why wouldn't you just have them like this new movie is doing? It's like rediscovering the Ghostbusters, like getting them dusting off the proton packs and maybe changing it up a little bit, the look on things. But that's to me what should have been. And I guess, without that movie, we wouldn't have gotten this one. So I'm sure everything's going to be right for this one. I'm anxious for Ecto Cooler to come back because it did last time and I bought a lot of it and it's still good.
Yep.
Why they don't sell it all the time, I don't understand. But, I guess people like it.
I was surprised because when it came out, I made sure I got some. And full disclosure, I didn't see that movie, not because I was like avoiding it or anything.
Right.
It was that one hit dead center in the middle of children, like early childhood.
Yes.
So there was no way I was getting to the movie theaters during that. There's like this black hole of time starting in 2014. But and I'm still inside.
Yes.
But
hopefully with the streaming service.
Movie, yeah. It's like that's one thing the pandemic has done that has been, it's been good for my movie watching habits because I've actually been able to watch movies now. But that one I missed. I didn't see it. And again, it wasn't because I was like, they're women. Like I actually was really excited for the prospect, and I was disappointed to hear that it wasn't as well received. I still want to see it, and all that crap that happened to what's her name, Leslie Jones.
Yeah,
like the stuff that happened. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, the fact that all that crap happened was just.
Oh, it's insane. Fans are crazy. Like, I mean, we'll get into it later, but we'll be talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, how Wyatt Russell, who plays John Walker, I believe it's John Walker. Maybe I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah. John
U.S.
Walker,
agent, new Captain America. He's gotten death threats. It's like, this is dumb. This is beyond stupid. Yeah. Like, clearly a lot of mentally messed up people. Yeah. It's just like, it's a character. Like, I don't like the Ghostbusters, the 2015. I mean, I like aspects of it. My kids like it, and I'm happy that they have characters they like. But to me, it's just like it's just a knockoff just to capitalize on the name and not really have great substance, if you will. But I don't wish any of them harm or anything. And I never, like I said, I didn't hate that they're all a women team. Like I think that sadly the studio and the actors at the time, I mean, they don't probably read into a lot of things, but I think they were just targeting a lot of diehard fans as like they live in their mom's basement. It's like, that's not really the way to go either. It's like, these are like a particular group of people who really are messed up, and it's not, I don't think it's the norm, if you will, to the criticism.
Well, there's a subset. There's a vocal minority in every fan base that,
Of course.
that they think that for some reason, because they're behind a screen and a keyboard,
Yes.
that they can get away with what you can't get away with in real life. Like online harassment is harassment. There's
of course.
no difference.
Yeah.
Once that becomes mainstream enough, this is going to be a problem with everything, unfortunately. And it's just so sad.
It is, because it's like you're supposed to enjoy this stuff. And if you don't enjoy it, you don't have to say, I hate you. It's just like encourage them to do better next time. Or do another Ghostbusters movie that kind of sets it on the right path.
Yeah, and like you said, if that movie hadn't happened, Afterlife might not have happened.
Oh,
so,
yeah, for sure.
So you got to look at that. Like, and now we're assuming that Afterlife is going to be amazing.
Right. And that's a gamble.
We're right.
Of course, that's a gamble. We could come back and go, oh my God, 2015 was The Godfather. Like, what was that? But it's looking like it's not. There's so much pressure, and you got a lot of the original people involved. I'm just excited about that. Just a nice passing the torch of a movie. I'm guessing that's what it is. It looks great. I'm excited. And that clip was pretty cool. And I know that could probably, I could probably irritate some haters as well. Like, oh, these little marshmallows, they want to do Baby Yoda, for themselves. And, it teeters on that edge, I guess. But I still thought it was fun,
I think it's fine because, it's like the fact that they were impaling themselves and like, that's a genius idea. Like, I almost guarantee that they probably were working on that long before the Yoda was a thing. So, little versions of old properties is not a new thing. Like, that happens all the time. So, if people are getting futzy about that, then they're just looking for shit to complain about.
I know. Yeah. I mean, that's just how it is now. But I did like the one that was on the s'more, and he was like the warmth of the chocolate. He was like smiling, like, dude, you're melting. Like, what's going on? It's like an acid trip.
Skewer. Like, he's like grabbing the skewer and pulling it into himself, and he's all just like, he was like, this is horrifying.
Well, if no one caught it in the trailers, there's like a painted advertisement on one of the buildings, and it's State Puft Marshmallows. So like all this stuff's gonna be answered. Like, to me, I think this is the town Ray spoke of, or maybe Ray's from, because there's like a mine in the trailer as well they referred to in the first movie. So I think it's all connected, and I think it'll make sense if people aren't digging these little guys right now. Like, I think just some strange shit's happening. Something's coming up again, and this whole town is like, they birthed it to begin with, and it's respawning, if you will. So I think they'll deliver very well on it. I'm really excited to it. And if Ecto Cooler comes out, which I'm sure it will, I'm going to buy cases of it because it's like they just take it away. It's man, I love that stuff.
That's what I was going to say. And then I got off on a track about the 2015 one. I was shocked because I bought some Ecto Cooler when it came out. Yeah. And I was fully expecting to like sip it and be like, oh God, this was definitely a better when I was not at all. I drank it. I was like, I could drink this whole thing. Like, this is amazing. This stuff is like heroin in a juice box. Like,
oh, for sure. For sure. Especially when I found the cans, I was like, oh, this is even better. Yeah. Cause
I didn't even find the cans. I saw the juice boxes.
That's what I saw originally, but they had cans in the theaters, and then my wife at the time worked for a grocery store, and so she actually had them order the cans. And
oh, nice.
Oh, dude, it was so great. It was so great. And the funny thing is, when I bought the juice boxes, I drove far away to get these things. Not too far, like maybe 20 minutes or so. It's pretty stupid, but I did it anyway. It's after work. My wife said, "Hey, Ecto Cooler juice boxes supposedly are at this, this one store." I'm like, do you mind if I go after work? And she's like, no, it's fine. So I'm just like, yep, I'm going to go get some juice boxes. And at first I couldn't find them. And I was freaking out because I was at the high C section. I was like, oh my gosh, where are they? And then I don't know if I asked somebody or I found them on my own, but I went to one of the sides of the section and there it was. It was just like a little sign. And it was kind of like just tucked in there, And so I think I bought, I don't know how many juice boxes I bought, like they came in a set like they usually do. So I bought I bought at least 2 of those. And then I was like, oh, what the hell for the road? I'll grab one of these Surges, the pop when we were kids, I think. I don't know if you ever had Surge.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I tried that
Sir.
first because it was cold and, the juice box was not as easy to get to. I was like, man, I don't like this taste at all. So I think a little of me was afraid, like maybe this Ecto Cooler isn't as great as I remember, but it was amazing. It was amazing. It was always on the shelves when I was growing up, and I just didn't bother with it. And then one day I got the craving for it, and I went to the store and I couldn't find it, and then I found out they didn't make it anymore, and I was like, come on. Like right when I want it, and I looked up recipes, but there was certain things you had to order. It took time. So I did try to make it once for my, I did make it once actually. It was not exactly the same taste, but pretty damn close. It was for my daughter's birthday party. It was green. It was like a lot of green liquid, So I had jugs of this stuff. It was just probably missing one ingredient, but it was not bad. So that's the only time I made it. But yeah, next time it comes out, that's like the one thing I'm so excited about the most. It's either cool or sad, I don't know, but that's good stuff. Yeah.
Hey, I really wish that they would do like what they do with like the cereal, like the Boo Berry and
yes.
And just like release like once a year, just release them
like Halloween or something, right? Like
Halloween time release them. And,
they would sell a ton.
I think they'd make a ton of money.
They would, especially if they put it in like a big standee, make it noticeable. Don't just put it on the shelf like, hey, it's Halloween, buy this stuff.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh man, yeah, we should be in charge of marketing for them. I don't think they'll take our call.
I don't think so either.
Netflix distribution deals. This is huge.
Yes.
Are you a Netflix user? I take it.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think everybody is pretty much, aren't they?
Yeah.
For good reason now. They're nearing a distribution deal with Rain Johnson, who did Knives Out. This deal is for two Knives Out sequels. Knives Out came out in 2019. It was a murder whodunit, kind of like a Clue movie. Huge hit. Big cast, like it just delivered. Usually these big casted films, the hype just is never achieved, in real life. It's all in your head, and then you see it and you're bummed out. Of course you got the exceptions of the Ocean's 11 franchise, Clue itself, Boogie Nights, Love Actually, there's other films, but rarely when you get a big cast, it's basically just a bait to get you to come see it, even though it's a pile of crap, right? So, or not as good, but this is a huge deal. Netflix is going to probably pay over $400 million for two sequels to Knives Out. So I take it they will directly come into the streaming service and the theaters as well. That's my guess. It's very early stages, and of course with COVID, a lot of new things are coming about. But yeah, Daniel Craig will reprise his role as Benoit Blanc. He's like a super high IQ detective, if you will, kind of like a Columbo. The Sherlock Holmes, all the greats. But yeah, this distribution deal was Netflix outbid Apple and Amazon for this. So yeah, they're really they're taking a chance, but it's mostly guaranteed success. The first one was such a big hit, and this will just be easier for people to see it. But yeah, it's first sequel will be shooting on June 28th, looks like, in Greece. But yeah, the funny thing is Craig lucked his way into Knives Out to begin with, because he was developing the new Bond movie at the time with Danny Boyle, and he dropped out, the director. So Craig had time in his schedule as they found a new director. So yeah, otherwise he wouldn't have been in this movie probably. So it's just kind of all everything just happened the right way. But yeah, Rain Johnson loved Agatha Christie stories, and that's what inspired him to make this film. And yeah, I imagine the next cast will be just as big. But I know we've talked, you have not seen Knives Out, but it is on your list.
Yeah, it's on my list to see. I'm really looking forward to seeing it eventually once I can get my crap together and see it. Because I love that kind of stuff. You mentioned Columbo. Like, Columbo is one of my favorite. It's like, gives me just one more question. But
remake that movie.
I really, yeah. And But yeah, I just I'm really anxious to see it, and it makes sense on Netflix part because they've got they were the king for a really long time in the streaming services, and even Prime and Hulu had a they're doing okay, but they couldn't come anywhere near Netflix's over just thing. And then Disney came along, and I remember before Disney Plus came out, there was this feeling of people being like, really, not everybody. A lot of people were like me and saw this is a major challenge to the thing. But there were some people who were like, I just don't see it. Like, I just don't see Disney overtaking it. And I'm like, okay, that you're people who don't have young children.
Disney's got everything, man. It's
seriously.
I mean, shit, they know how to run things, but yeah, I mean, they're I think they had success instantly where HBO Max didn't. I mean, it took the Snyder cut to get I think HBO Max up there a little bit, but still not as much success as Disney. But I think what made Netflix, and I remember at the time, I don't know if you remember this, when they first announced that, I think their goal was it was a high percentage of original programming they wanted to do, and I remember thinking that was a bad idea, But I think they were kind of the first ones to prove that could work, if you did things wisely, and it seems like they did. They had a lot of successful shows and still do. That has definitely, hiked up their worth, and they've purchased a lot of other films before. So this, I mean, yeah, it's a gamble, but man, I think that's a great deal. I think that'll be, people can come see the film in their homes. They don't have to go to the theater, and it'll probably be an option to go to the theater as well, I would imagine. Just the scale of the film and stuff, and the director involved. I'm sure he's still going to want his movies to go to the cinema. It's just like with Scorsese's The Irishman. That was a Netflix movie, but it went to cinemas too. So I still haven't caught that. That's on my list because that's well, I've seen the Snyder Cut twice, so I guess I'm due to watch that because The Irishman is pretty long. So I'm happy they're making that deal. I mean, I obviously don't want them to become super powerful because then they can be like, hey, we're going to charge $50 a month for you to and maybe it's worth it if there's a lot of programming you like, but still it's like, wow, that's scary.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think I'm glad that Disney came out and did this because what it did was it forced Netflix to have to do stuff like this. Yeah. Because I seriously think, and from a perspective of somebody who was watching a lot of Netflix original programming, and this is going to sound weird, but I have young kids, and when my kids were really young, and I'm talking 2014, 2015, 2016, into 17 a little bit. The kids programming on Netflix was top notch. They had children's programming on there that had Steven Spielberg as the producer. Right. And we're talking about a show called Word Party, where it's about a kangaroo, an elephant, a cheetah that doesn't actually look like a cheetah, actually looks like a leopard, and they get that wrong and it pisses me off, and a panda. And they in diapers who run around and say "Word Party," way, and it's computer animated, but it's top notch stuff. It's really good programming. And then it was around 2017, 2018, their programming started going to crap. Yeah. To the point now where they have they're doing contract deals with Nickelodeon and just taking Nickelodeon shows and just putting them on. Right. And I think part of the reason for that was because it was around that time they started getting complacent. I think they started going why are we putting so much money into this stuff that we have all this content now, so we can kind of pump the brakes a little bit. And there also was a lot of internal executive stuff changing and everything. Sure. But and I think that might have been part of it too. It's why the hell are we paying these people, a couple $100,000 a year to do stuff that, it's let's just raise our prices a little bit, kick back, and, let's reap in the payday. Right. And then Disney came along and was like, oh, we basically have been doing children's programming for years. Not all of it great, but still a lot of it really good. And he came in and was like, oh, so they're pumping the brakes. All right, let's hit the gas. And, and they came in swinging. It's that's why I've almost said to my wife a couple of times, I think we need to block Netflix for the kids, because some of the stuff my daughter finds on there, I'm like, this is the most asinine television. Just this morning, we were watching a show, and I was like, this is the most asinine thing on the planet. Can we please go back to Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Because at least there's quality content over there.
Right,
you know?
right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I've showed them the Mighty Ducks series on Disney Plus now. And
yeah,
I like it. They like it. My oldest, who's 13, obviously is like, not good. You know, I'm like, okay, come on, you give it a shot. I made her watch the first movie last week, and yeah, she just was not cooperating. I'm like, come on, just give it a shot. Give it a shot. But yeah, yeah, I really like strong kids programming that adults and kids, you know, both can enjoy, and it's not excruciating painful for the parent. Netflix, Netflix, they have some pretty good shows now. I can stand, let's say. I can sit there and watch, and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty funny, you know. Not terrible, not excruciating painful to watch, but yeah, and some of the Disney programming is pretty good. But yeah, Netflix is doing right.
Yeah,
they're this is going to probably keep them going for, you know, a good chunk of time, especially as, you know, more industries adapt to streaming services and whatnot. Sony, of course, is one of them. Movie company that does not have a streaming service, and so, you know, they've delayed their Bond movie for quite some time now. Looks like it's finally going to come out. Yeah, they apparently have done an output deal with Netflix. So they previously were with Stars. So just basically, you know, when Netflix had deals with Disney for distribution, you know, like, you know, it'd be like maybe 9 months after a movie would come out, a Marvel movie, let's say, it would show up on Netflix. And so this is a similar deal with Sony now, because obviously the Marvel films are going to Disney Plus. But yeah, this is with Sony, and it's going to be their whole 2022 slate of films. And it also will include first rights for Netflix to accept a direct-to-streaming production. You know, if they pass on it, then Sony will send it to other streamers. But yeah, Netflix has the first say on anything they produce. As for the 2021 catalog, that's probably going to divert to Stars, I imagine, for now. You got James Bond films, and you got Spider-Man, and I think Venom, and Morpheus, which hasn't come out yet. So I don't know how that works, since I think Spider-Man for sure is releasing this year so far. So I don't know how that's going to work. You know, if you'll see the newer Spider-Man on on Stars or Netflix, let's say. So that remains to be seen. However, they will have older Sony films on there from their catalog. So you could count Spider-Man as an older Sony film. All of them except the new one, the newest one. So that's actually been one of the Marvel films, because the deal Marvel has with Sony, you know, Spider-Man is not on Disney Plus. So, you know, he's never really been with the rest of the family, if you will, because he's kind of like half family because he belongs to Sony as well. So it'll be really interesting to see how that deal works out. But yeah, I mean, geez, look at that. You got 2 Knives Out sequels coming, and, you know, other sequels might take interest and go after Netflix or vice versa. Who knows? And then you got the Sony deal they just made. So yeah, this is huge. This is huge. So yeah, if you're not a Netflix subscriber, you might want to jump on board and give it a shot. Just I've had Netflix, I think, before anything else I've had streaming. I remember when I first got Netflix, I was like, this is so cool. I can watch a movie like through this format. It's weird.
Let me tell you, I'm one of the old timers.
Yes, exactly.
I remember my uncle coming over to my house, and we were chatting, and he said, have you heard of this thing called Netflix? And this was back in, I want to say, I'm going to get the year wrong because I'm probably going to mention a year earlier than Netflix existed, but it was something like 2001, 2002.
Okay, sure.
And this is back when you would get the discs in the mail.
Yes.
And so we, you know, we signed on fairly quickly after that. And then pretty much I've had Netflix since then, and I switched to streaming, and I was doing the dual streaming and discs until my wife and I realized we haven't we've had this disc of, I don't even know what it was. It was like, if it might have been like Fifth Element or something, that had been sitting on our table to be sent back for months. We hadn't sent it back because we'd just been using the streaming service.
Oh,
we just
no.
downgraded to the highest streaming level that didn't get you discs.
Right.
Yeah.
I know what a concept that was. My cousin, I think he did that too. He had Blockbuster too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That doesn't exist anymore. I think there's one left, and there's a great documentary I've heard is on Netflix, of all places.
On Netflix.
I haven't seen it yet.
Isn't that ironic?
I know, right?
God.
Netflix. This show is sponsored by Netflix, so thank you, Netflix. They haven't sent me any money yet, so I don't know what's going on there, but
Well, it's amazing to me, like, you know, and it's kind of happening now, sort of, though it might be changing. Like the executives of Blockbuster, like, they're sitting there and they're watching Netflix. They're not, like, I don't know about you, but I would see something like that and I would go, okay, we need to maybe like get R&D on this or something. Like, or you don't have R&D, let's create R&D and let's do that. Because I like the second I realized that Blockbuster wasn't pivoting the way they should have, I was like, they're done. They're dead. It's going to take 10 years, but they're dead.
Right.
Because this is going to kill them. And it did. And, you know, and then the same thing was happening with GameStop, though it looks like GameStop, because of all the craziness and the Wall Street bets, and because they actually have somebody on the board now who, you know, wants shit to happen.
Right.
They might be able to turn it around, but they were heading down the same path. They were like, let's retail. And it's like, yeah, that's something you really want to bet on in the year of a pandemic.
Right. I know you got to think outside the box. I mean, geez, there's just, this has never happened. I mean, these industries weren't around 100 years ago when we had the last pandemic. So it's like, you have to adapt. Otherwise you're doomed. And, that's it's unfortunate, but at least we have Netflix. But yeah, if it becomes I just get afraid of physical media going away, because it's like, man, they'll really have a hold on your entertainment at that time. You know, they can jack up the prices, or if your internet sucks, you're not going to really get the full enjoyment, full experience out of a film. Like, you know, it does have its, you know, limitations, if you will. So the future is still a mystery of how you know, things can coexist, like theaters and these streaming services. You know, I'm sure a lot of people have gotten hooked on just being home, but I still miss the experience of actually going out to see a film, you know, with great sound and picture and concessions and stuff. I always love that. But yeah, Netflix definitely has been in my life for a long time. So this just kind of furthers that relationship. Like, yeah, I like all this stuff I'm seeing and hearing about, and I think I'll stick with you, Netflix. Let's just buy everything.
It's going to be funny to me. Like, I was doing the joke about the old timer, you know, with the thing, but that, like, there will come a time where I will have to tell my kids, you know, Netflix wasn't always streaming. Like, the first, like, 5 years it existed, it was they send you a DVD and you would send it back, and they will go, what's a DVD?
Yes.
So
yes, or it's like, I had to use a payphone once. What's a payphone? Like, I had a flat tire, and you didn't have your phone with you? You didn't have a phone. I didn't have anything, man. You're so lucky. You have no idea. I don't know what's better. But other movie news, of course, DCWB. There's some news happening there with casting. Of course, for the Snyderverse, they just released Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, which we did review on this show. Feel free to check that out. The consensus was we all liked it a lot. It's a long movie, but it sets up things a lot better than what we got originally, and it does change up a few things, so it is worth your time. I know you haven't seen it yet, Nathan, but it's definitely worth your time. And like I said, it's in parts, so if you get kind of tired or whatever, want to do something else, you know, pause it and then come back to it. But yeah, I thought it was very good, and it should have been just, you know, WB just, I think, have made terrible decisions, and this kind of proved it. And I don't think they ever really backed this cut because of the embarrassment, for one, and they just want to move on. So luckily you had like AT&T, who, you know, owns Warner Brothers and HBO Max, I believe, or that might be a separate entity itself, but they do recognize a potential for profit. And so they're like, hold your roll, WB. Let's do the Snyderverse. Let's just do it. And so they did. And of course, a lot of fans were hoping that they would get wise and like, all right, let's draw upon this movie and, expand more of what it set up. Because that's the one thing this film did that the 2017 didn't do, was it set up so many cool things people have been wanting to see. A lot of people, even including the stars now, the fans and the stars, are putting this hashtag about restoring the Snyderverse. I'm for it just because of it would be so silly for them to have spent this money and for a movie that set up so many of these characters and to just say, nah, we'll set them up again and we'll pay for it too. You don't have to love how Snyder did things, but if you're going to work with like the multiverse, then I think you can totally take advantage of his films and just take the things you like about him, I guess, for the new creatives in charge. So yeah, I hope there's a future. I don't know, but of course they're moving forward. They got Suicide Squad, which they released a trailer. Looks pretty cool. I don't know if you saw the trailer to that. You got Stallone's King Shark, which that's perfect casting, I think. I loved every clip. Like at first it was kind of like startling. Like he doesn't look quite great, CG wise, but it grew on me, and he has a dad bod, and I just like the way he talks. It's like they're in that meeting and he just holds his hand up and he goes, hand. It's like, oh, I think I'm going to like this guy. And he just ate that one dude, like, oh yeah. Just, out of nowhere.
Well, like, and I think what's happening with the Snyderverse now, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't speak to the differences between the Whedon version and the Snyder version, but I think I can say with fairly and be fairly accurate, at least, in that the Warner Brothers universe of superheroes, the DC universe, is an example of what happens when you try to do what Marvel did, but you don't have a captain at the helm like Kevin Feige.
Right. Absolutely.
Like I know that you can't, like, I know it's fairly popular to basically put everything at the feet of Kevin Feige and say, oh, he is the end all be all. Yeah. Like there's definitely more to it than just him. But
sure.
I think it can be said when you have somebody who gets put into a position of power and has a vision and knows how to execute that vision and knows how to surround himself with people who can help them execute that vision, then you're going to get something like the Marvel Universe.
Sure.
What's happening, and I don't know if Suicide Squad is indicative of that, indicative of that changing, I should say.
Right.
But what's happening in the DCU is essentially they don't have somebody in that position of power. They don't have somebody. They just have people going, what did Marvel do? Let's do that. We can't afford to do it exactly like they did. Okay, well then let's do it this way.
No, Phil, I don't have a drinking problem.
And it's just so frustrating. And like this, and that was the thing that I would always say to I would always say after I would watch one of the movies, like I even said after Wonder Woman 1984, it annoyed me, not because like I was mad at the people for being they made a bad movie, that sucks. It was more that the potential for the movie to be good was there. Yeah. But they squandered it. They just threw it out the window. Like absolutely. Like I watched the original Justice League and I was like, the first like 15 minutes of the movie, I was like, this could go to great places. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, this is not going to great places. So it's a shame. But
it is a shame. I mean, they wanted to catch up really quickly. The reason why you have a Kevin Feige and the reason why you would praise a Kevin Feige, from, of course, what you said, but he also had experience before this MCU. He made almost, I think, 20 Marvel films. So he got to learn what worked and what didn't work. So he had a hell of a knowledge how to, build a universe where, Warner Brothers and other people don't have that. You know, that's just a rare thing for him. And yeah, sadly, that's, I mean, not sadly, but you know, you would, if you're Warner Brothers, you're like, hey, Kevin, do you have any free time? You want to come over here? Let's just, you know, or, you know, Disney, you want to buy our stuff, or, you know, I don't know, but yeah, definitely, they panicked with Snyder. I think, you know, they're like, oh, of course, I always knew once Avengers hit 1 billion, that was going to be, that's a great achievement, but studios are stupid when it comes to that. I think, you know, they're like, oh, it's like when they made The Dark Knight, and then all of a sudden they wanted to make Superman like that. And I was like, that's not Superman. It's like, what are you doing? So when Avengers made 1 billion, they're like, oh, we got to make 1 billion. And if we do this and that, we should be able to make 1 billion. And then that didn't happen. So they were like, oh, we're panicking, you know, let's just put more money into this. Like Joe Manganiello, who plays Deathstroke, he was interviewed after this, and he said that this possibly could be the most expensive movie ever made, this Justice League, because you had the other version, and you know they reshot most of that film, and so now they did all that, and then this new version they had to put more money into it to complete it. So yeah, it's a super expensive film, and it's all because of them panicking. It seems like they're on the right track now, but I think they could really utilize what the Snyder Cut has set up. Like I said, it's a long movie, but that in a way gives you the setup to each character that Marvel has been able to do with their standalone films that connect eventually. This is the closest they've gotten to doing that. So that Snyderverse did help in that instance. Cyborg is, you know, a fully realized character now. Like most of them are, actually. When they join as a team, it's exciting, and it kind of is cliff notes, maybe, if you will, to Marvel movies. You know, it's like, you know, here's this person, here's that person. They join and, you know, get into a team, and then they take on this villain. There you go. You know, and then they set up other things, of course, at the end, which are fantastic, I think. But they're moving forward, of course, with other properties. We talked about the Suicide Squad, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, which is the second Shazam film. Helen Mirren has joined that cast as a villain. Hespera, I believe that's how you say. She's a character as a demigod. She's a daughter of Atlas and the goddess of immortality. And she's not necessarily good or bad character-wise. So I think that's pretty cool. I think that's great casting there. I look forward to seeing that. I did like Shazam. It's very kid-centric. Probably I would almost say it's the closest Marvel film they've kind of done. You know, like, it just felt like it was trying to be kind of like Ant-Man, sort of, you know, was. Except, you know, the heist, take that out. But just the humor level. And
yeah, I heard it was basically like a PG Deadpool is the way I heard it was described to me.
Kind of is, because Deadpool is very childish, and it does have a lot of cool aspects to it. I did enjoy Zachary Levi's portrayal of the character. I know a lot of people gave him shit because his suit was, like, you know, filled in places, but it's like, dude, he's a superhero. Like, you know, if you're doing a film and the actor never needs to take off his shirt, why the hell would you put them through so much stress to get that big? You know, this isn't Thor. Seriously. You know, who cares?
We all can't be Chris Evans. Like, seriously, like that.
Right.
That man.
He is Captain America.
He is Captain America. Like, my God. Like,
that scene was real in the Rebirth chamber. That was real. Shazam was a decent film. I hope they improve on a few things, but yeah, Helen Mirren, of course, I take care on. You know, as a villain, that's great. I think she could really portray that well. And the Black Adam, of course, which is The Rock's film he's doing, which is kind of a bad guy for Shazam, but since The Rock's playing him, it sounds like he wants to make him kind of a, not necessarily bad or good, but in the middle, because he doesn't ever want to be a villain, I think. So.
Well, that's kind of, and I think that's kind of a thing with Black Adam. Now, I'll admit I'm not hugely knowledgeable when it comes to Shazam and Black Adam, but I know a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from what I understand, Black Adam is he's kind of like Magneto-esque in the fact that he he thinks he's a good guy himself. He tries to do good things, but often he's misguided.
Yeah.
And does things because his hubris gets in the way.
Right.
However you say that word, that is very hoity-toity.
Better than I could do.
Yeah. The HUBRIS, that word. But yeah, like so I could see them maybe trying to play that character and try to nudge him a little bit closer to the good side than the bad side. I think that could work.
Because that's The Rock. They're not going to say no to The Rock. It's like, yeah, whatever you want to do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's shocking.
Yeah.
It's shocking to a lot of people because he announced this years ago he was going to be Black Adam, and then nothing happened.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah. And then now it's finally happening. They've started shooting. Yeah. Pierce Brosnan is playing Dr. Fate, he's a human host to a god, Naboo, I believe. So he's got superhuman strength and a lot of magic. So I'm sure you're a big fan of that. I mean, I dig it too. Kind of like, sounds like a Doctor Strange with superpowers, Doctor Strange with some Captain America abilities. That's great. I love Pierce Brosnan. So 100%.
When they did, I think, oh God, I can't even remember how old I was. It was in the mid 90s when they did amalgam comics where DC and Marvel got together and they essentially mixed the characters. So you had like Dark Claw and it was Wolverine and Batman mixed together. Yeah. Like I have like all, they only did one issue each. So it's not like it. And so I got those issues and the one was Doctor Strange Fate. And it was Dr. Fate, Doctor Strange, and Professor X mixed into one character, which was interesting.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
that's insane.
So that was fun.
Wow, imagine.
Or maybe it was Professor Strange Fate. I think it might have been.
That's still pretty cool. Imagine that being a movie. Like, I think we'll get there someday. Oh, yeah. I think they will have a crossover someday. Especially if WB can't get on the Marvel like success bandwagon. Although their movies have made money. It's just I think they really thought, hey, let's put a lot into this movie and then we're gonna get our money back. It's like you shouldn't think that way. Just focus on a good story and stop thinking about $1 billion.
Yeah, well, someday they're gonna have their what I call the Sony moment, and that was the moment that Sony realized, why are we have a character that technically could be in the Marvel universe. Everybody wants to see it in the Marvel universe. And we haven't been allowing it to be put into the Marvel universe because of reasons.
Yes.
Why don't we just let it go in the Marvel universe and make crap ton of money?
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
Like a 2-year deal or something. Maybe just a one-off. And if it's so good, go for another one,
Yeah, and that's what Sony did, and they made buckets of cash.
Yes.
And then there was the renegotiation fiasco about a year ago. But then they worked that out when they realized they both would lose buckets of cash.
Yes.
And then now, so it's only a matter of time before WB goes, we can make buckets of cash. Let's make buckets of cash.
Right. Yeah. Maybe Kevin Feige. What sucks is it doesn't suck, but Kevin Feige is a big Star Trek fan, and I would love him to take over that franchise. I am not happy with the way things are right now with that franchise, and I think he gets it. That's the other thing. He gets these comic characters, and he's a fan. I think I know a lot of times they don't like to hire fans to take on these properties, but it's like, if you got a brilliant person who is a fan, like, you should do it. He's gonna know how to speak to the people, if you will, and I think
especially somebody like Feige, because Feige, and I've talked about this with like on some of my other podcasts and shows. He understood something that very few people understood, and that was, when you're dealing with comic properties, especially a comic property as long storied and rich as the Marvel Universe, you can't throw Agatha Harkness at them day one.
Yes.
Okay. And what I mean by that is, like, that's a deep cut. That's a major deep cut. And I remember very early on, like, I'm talking, like, I think Thor had just come out, and a buddy of mine said, they're doing the Infinity Gauntlet. And I said, there's no way they're doing Infinity Gauntlet. They cannot do anything. And I thought, like, I seriously thought he was doing like what other nerds were doing at the time. We're going, do you think they're going to like introduce this character that was in issue 27 and he was only there for like 3 days? like I thought he was doing that. And so I was like, there's no way. That is way too deep cut. That is way too comic nerd. They're not doing it. But Feige knew how to do it, because what he did was he just planted little seeds.
Yes.
Just little setups and payoffs among billions of dollars worth of movies. And then it works.
Yes.
And that's how you do it. And the problem is these other properties like WB and everything, they're trying to, like the stuff with like Wonder Woman, a perfect example of that is her turning the plane invisible in WW84. That they were trying, they did not have a setup for that. And they just had her turn invisible as kind of like, hey, look, everybody, we did it.
Right.
And it came across as very like, wow, that was an ass pull. Like, that just came out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people had more issue with how is that plane fueled up and ready to go? Like it's in the Smithsonian, you know, it's Smithsonian, and like they have it gassed up and ready to go. Okay,
well, the fact that he knew how to fly it, you know, like if,
that. Yeah, see, that's the shortcomings of that film. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, I liked it. It was a very simple story. I think they could have really utilized it. Kind of had a Spider-Man 3 vibe when it came to Cheetah, you know. It's like she was kind of just thrown in there in a way, and she had that typical nerd-esque character. Like they do that a lot in these movies where, you know, the nerd becomes powerful, and it wasn't as badly done as like Jamie Foxx in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like he was a total nerd, like Jerry Lewis, Nutty Professor, nerd, and that was just. That's just such an old trope, you know. It's like I think we've moved on from now. Like let's just, you know. Let's write smarter things for our characters.
Cheetah didn't even need to be in that movie. Like she shouldn't either. They should have went with one or the other.
Absolutely. I mean, they had a great cast, but yeah, the script just was kind of. I still bought the film to put in my collection. It's not one I'm like. I mean, I think I'll like watching it, but it's kind of one of those you turn your mind off, and I don't want to do that with these films. Like the first Wonder Woman was great. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And so hopefully they can do better with that. Black Widow is finally coming to theaters July 9th. This has definitely been on the back burner forever. I mean, sadly, I've lost interest here and there until they release a trailer again. And like you kind of like, oh, I forgot about this film. Oh, yeah. This looks great. Yeah. I'm excited to see it. I think it was supposed to kick off Phase 4 originally, but because of the pandemic, WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier ended up kicking off Phase 4. So I've heard this is a prequel. I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed, but I've also heard like she's not necessarily dead like we think. So I'm like, is this going to be kind of a mashup of, because it's supposed to launch Phase 4, right? So you would think it's got to be more than a prequel film. Otherwise, wouldn't that be like a Phase 2 or 3 type of film, you know?
Well, it could be that it could be one of two things. Yeah. And it could be that it's setting even though it's a prequel, it's setting something up.
Like Captain Marvel did.
Phase 4.
Yeah.
But there's another piece too. Now I'll admit this is tinfoil hat, and my other co-hosts the other day when we watched the most recent Loki trailer, they thought I was up in the night, but I don't think I was. It's near the end of the trailer. If you watch it and you pause it at the right time, there is a scene in a weird, like it almost looks like they're in this gigantic cave, but it has like an entry, like a built metal entranceway ramp that's off in the distance. And there are two rocks in the middle of this cave, and Loki is sitting on one, and there is another of a redhead in a full black suit. They're both facing away from the camera.
Ooh.
And it's just a second beat, and then it goes away.
Wow.
And I think that's Black Widow.
Wow.
Now, granted, Loki is set in a multiverse type situation, right? So it very well could be that this isn't another thing. They thought I was crazy. They were like, no, that's one of the co-stars. That's one of the female co-stars. I looked up the female co-stars. Unless they put on red wigs, that is not. They're not. It's not one of them. So I think there might be something in Loki that speaks to this as well. So I'm very anxious to see what happens in the movie and also in Loki. And I also can't wait to see Loki because that looks freaking awesome. Anyway.
Right. And I think Loki's coming out June, correct? in it June? So that's before Black Widow. So that is a definite possibility. That would be something, wouldn't it? Wow. Loki looks like a trip though. That looks crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's
that looks great.
He's an anomaly because he's a different type of Loki. So he could be, I guess, totally made good, if you will. It's trippy. That show looks really trippy.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm really anxious to see that, and especially the fact they're doing like the types of things they're doing with him on the plane. Like I won't even go into it if you're not familiar with the story that they're doing. But oh man,
well, I've heard it's a nod to that one dude who did a heist on a plane, right? What was the dude's name?
Yep.
Do you recall?
D.B. Cooper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without a Paddle.
So yeah.
That's a good film. Check that out. No, it's all connected, guys. Loki was in Without a Paddle. He was in the woods, and you just missed him. He was Burt Reynolds, actually. Burt Reynolds was an older Loki. There we go. He created fan fiction.
See, there we go. Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, we created fan fiction.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, this Black Widow's got a $200 million budget to it, and more MCU films are coming this year, which I was surprised. I thought maybe just it would be Black Widow and the TV shows, of course, or the Disney Plus shows, excuse me. But it looks like we're getting Shang-Chi, The Legend of Ten Rings, that's coming September 3rd, The Eternals November 5th, and Spider-Man No Way Home December 17th.
Do we know when Multiverse of Madness is coming out? Is that next year?
Yes, I'm pretty certain it's 2020 or 2022, and I think February's in my head for some reason, so it might be February. I'm not sure, but yeah, it will be coming. That should be a trip. I mean, Sam Raimi. If Sam Raimi brings his old self to the show, I think he will. That's such an opportunity. He's so quirky. Like that world would be perfect for him, and that's also possibly why or how. I don't know if it hasn't been confirmed, but they're getting Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, to be in it. Maybe like they're going to explore the multiverse thing. That's a rumor, but I can see that as a possibility. He kind of knows them, and I'm sure they would do a favor. So that would be pretty damn cool. But yeah, Black Widow, like other high-profile Disney movies, will be premiering on Disney Plus under Premier Access, which costs $30 to see it. You probably get 24 hours, so you could just watch the hell out of it, or you can go see it in the theater. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have not been in the theater since the pandemic. I went out to eat once, so I could see myself being comfortable going to a movie. Probably, I don't know if I would eat. I'd probably have my mask on the whole time. But this Black Widow might bring me back to the theater. I'm not sure, but otherwise, I'll have to pay $30, and I probably will. I didn't pay $30 for their other movies because I just didn't have a big interest to pay that much, What say you?
I'm torn. I'm probably not going to do the movie theater myself either. I don't know if I might pay the $30 for Black Widow. That's one of the few, because I didn't for the other two that they've done that for. I think they've done it for two other movies.
Mulan and whatever that new one is. Yeah, I'm just not interested. Yeah, even though it's cheaper than taking the kids to the theater, it's like that's a lot. But a Marvel film, I'd probably pay $30.
Yeah. With Marvel film, I probably will. The Mulan, there was problematic stuff going on with that, so I was like, I'm not even bothering. And then also with Raya the Last Dragon, like I wasn't very interested. I've heard good things, but I just not enough to pay $30 for. I can wait. Like, that's something I totally can wait for.
Well, at least with Mulan, it existed before, right? So you were familiar with it. This other one, I think it's completely a brand new concept or a new character. So it's like, that's a real gamble for me to pay $30 to see this film. Well,
and the way I look at it is that, like, to me, it's no different than when what was that? The Moana. When Moana came out. Now, I love Moana. My family loves Moana. My children love Moana. But we didn't go to see it in the theater. We just waited for it to come out. We were able to wait because, and it had Lin-Manuel Miranda associated with it, and we love him. Yeah. But we still could wait. And so to me, it's no different. It's like we might end up loving Raya and the Last Dragon, but we're good.
Did you buy Moana or did you rent it when it came out?
We didn't. We just waited till it came on streaming.
Of course. Duh.
Yeah, and it has gone into rotation very quickly.
Sure.
So yeah, but we were able to just wait for it. I think we did get I think we just started listening. What held us over was listening to the soundtrack on Spotify.
So, there you go. Yeah. That's very helpful. Yeah. Black Widow, I will probably pay $30 to see it. It looks good. I really hope it's successful. They should have made that film a long time ago. Maybe they have a good way of introducing her now. It's just, I've heard Robert Downey Jr. will be in it because it's a prequel film. It takes place, I think, during the blip. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain that's when it takes place. But I like the cast, and I'm excited to see it finally.
Awesome.
So yeah, July 9th, everyone, check that out. Maybe split it with a friend if you can. I don't know. Like I said, you get it for 24 hours, so you could watch the hell out of it, and it's just worth the money that way.
It's probably around like 10 watchings. I think that's worth $30.
You could do that. Just nonstop it, right? Just memorize the whole movie. Get a camcorder. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. No. Some people are like, what's a camcorder? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, they're like, what?
You mean a phone? Yeah, a phone. Yeah. Moving into TV news, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, they announced this a long time ago, and I was, of course, interested the whole time. This is great. I cannot believe this cast they have announced officially. It's insane. And, of course, you got Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen. Now you got Joel Edgerton as Uncle Owen. He's returning. Camille Nanjiani, who's going to be in the Internals. He was also in, what is that show? It made him popular. Mike Judge show. It's HBO.
Silicon Valley.
Yes, Silicon Valley. I knew I had like a computer type of reference to the name. But yeah, that made him famous. And then, of course, he got into mad shape for Eternals. I don't know if you've seen the photo, but I thought that was photoshopped. Dude, he got jacked. Like Thor jacked. Chris Pratt jacked. Like, it's insane. He's just, yeah, crazy. Well, they put him on the Marvel diet. Shit, I want to be on that diet. If they pay me to do that, like, sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a part of this show. O'Shea Jackson Jr., who's Ice Cube's son. He's a great actor. And you got Sung Kang, who was Han from the Fast and Furious franchise. And then Bonnie Peace, who plays Aunt Beru. So same actress from the movie. So they really reached back and put these people in this show. Yeah, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, I'm excited. Like, it's hard because like with this, like, we know we're not quite sure what characters, most of them, like Joel Edgerton, we know who he's going to play.
Yeah.
But and Bonnie Pace as Beru, but so like these others, like, I'm really excited to see these folks in it. It's kind of like trying to speculate on characters in The Mandalorian. Like, other than a few, it's going to be hard to pick. But the biggest one for me is Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And I have a theory. Like, I think I know how they're going to handle that.
Sure.
Like, a lot of people are like, well, this is post barbecue. He's going to, he's in the full Vader thing, and we've heard him as James Earl Jones voice.
Yes.
But I think they're going to do, like, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of scenes with the mask off and him, and it being him and him,
yeah, definitely.
Like that. I can't wait. Like, I really can't wait to see this. Like, I love Ewan McGregor. Like, I've been a fan of him since Moulin Rouge. Like, and oh God, I just can't wait to see this show. And I really hope it's at least a fraction of good as Mandalorian, because if it's like half as good as Mandalorian, then it's going to be an amazing show.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's labeled as a special event series, so I think it's kind of a one and done. Maybe if it's popular enough, it'll come back, but I'm sure it'll still set up characters that can cross over to other shows and movies. The biggest thing it does change is the notion that Obi-Wan just hung out in caves, right? From the first Star Wars film. So yeah, it does put a little more story there, which I'm sure they'll be able to write it up so it kind of flows into itself very well and possibly helps explain the narrative Obi-Wan uses for Darth Vader. You know, how his father was killed by him, you know, like that kind of didn't make sense once they revealed, you know, he's the same person. Like, that's kind of odd. But yeah, that'll be super interesting because he needs that. Darth Vader needs the breathing apparatus. So will there be a lot of scenes maybe of Vader in his chamber, like in Empire? You know, you see Hayden talking to people, and they teased that in Rogue One, although that wasn't Hayden. But you know, when he was in that device preserving him, if you will, or whatever, his spa, if you will, and then you know he came out guns blazing or lightsaber blazing, so let's say. Yeah, it's gonna be super interesting because Obi-Wan hasn't seen Darth Vader realized yet. He just knows that. Well, to his knowledge, he killed him. He killed Anakin. So I don't think in the prequel film he never knew anything else after that.
I think Obi-Wan knows that Anakin is Vader, because I think with the whole Force thing, he gets near me. He's like, oh, okay. I think, and I know this has kind of been the line, and I have a feeling this is the way they're going to go. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is a line in the show to kind of put it to bed, which is Obi-Wan said that Vader killed Luke's father.
Yes.
But what he meant was that Vader, like, it's more of a metaphorical, he killed the good, like Anakin no longer exists.
Yes,
and
the anger the anger that took control was Vader, basically. Yeah. I think he'll know that through the Force, but then they still have to have that meeting, right? Like he has to probably see Vader, because otherwise he's more machine now than man. How does he know that unless they meet? You could say the Force, but you know, with his show, they're going to meet. They have to meet, and people are going to want to see him in the same room. So my guess is maybe he will damage him enough that the mask does come off, maybe, and then that's how you get to see them. Otherwise, he can't take that mask off like Iron Man. He won't be able to breathe. Yeah. So it'd be really well. Maybe they capture Obi-Wan, and that's how they talk. But it's gonna be super interesting how they do that. You know, I wish when they did the Darth Vader run, I wish it would have been a gradual change. Like he became Vader before the mask, and then Obi-Wan and him got into battle, and he got further and further damaged, and then you could have been like, well, in this show they'll have another encounter and he'll get damaged even more, and then that's when that line comes in. He's more machine now than man. But obviously we can't change that past. But it'll be interesting to see. They're going to have to probably retcon a few things to make it make sense of it. But I am totally intrigued by it.
That's what I think. I think that they're probably going to, because it's really like we're talking about one scene in episode 3, like that really is what we're like not arguing, like we're not arguing, but the fandom is arguing about. It's one scene in episode 3, so like this is literally on the same level as Luke and Leia kissing. Like this is just essentially like, the scene happened, let's pretend it didn't.
Yes.
And so I have a feeling that they'll probably do something like either the mask doesn't exist right off, and he's Vader, and really the only damage he had was like limbs. Yes. And then as time goes on, he either deteriorates through fighting or just through generally existing. Or they'll do a thing where like the mask does exist early on, but it doesn't need, like the respirator isn't need, the respirator works differently or something. Like they'll come up with something to make it work. Because like I said, it's on par with the Luke and Leia kissing. It's it's basically like the one scene that they're like, we just pretend it doesn't happen. That's
right. If you take that scene out, you could totally just bring this on, gradually, like that look gradually gets to what we know. But it would be cool if Obi-Wan's like, who is this mysterious character? I feel like I know him or something. And then he's like, oh my God, it's Anakin. And then they have their encounter. Maybe Anakin's like, where's my kids? And he's just like, I'm not telling you, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. They could go so many different directions. I'm sure they'll do a great job. Oh, yeah. Because people are going to want to see him in the same scene. I don't think they're going to like him being separated. So I'm sure they're going to make that happen some way. And I'm sure it'll be a build-up, right? It'll probably be like, I'm not sure how many episodes, but watch it be like the second to last episode where we finally see them and it's like, oh my God. You know it's going to have cliffhangers that are just going to drive you nuts.
Oh, yeah.
This is a great cast. I'm super excited for this. And
Me too.
McGregor's already got his beard going. So, I mean, that's what's awesome about his character is like he is allowed to grow old and tell, still be in canon with storytelling. He just looks more like, you know, Alec Guinness age now. Although he doesn't. He's very fit and stuff, but it's going to be super cool. And they've talked about Liam Neeson coming by. Who knows? I mean, you could. Yeah, the whole Force Ghost thing, I want them to explore that better. And maybe they've done it in novelizations, but you know, there's some things in Star Wars is just like they've been very vague about, you know, like why can't these Force Ghosts, you know, like Yoda's Force Ghost caught a tree on fire. Like, why can't they come back and do that with people? You know, it's like, just like to know more about that. But yeah, these shows I think help expand that and have a better understanding. So they're good filler. And you can totally build off of them, so I'm super excited.
Well, and frankly, I think this is, at least for the foreseeable future, this is where the Star Wars bread and butter is going to be.
Yes,
is going to be in the television shows, because they, like, for some reason at this point, similarly as Warner Brothers, they, in terms of the movies, are having a hard time keeping their crap together, and they can't keep people. The creative vision in the same, like, on the same page.
Right.
And I think that's why the movies faltered the way they did.
Absolutely.
Where with the television shows, you've got Filoni and you've got Favreau, and like Favreau, and it's like the perfect meld. It's almost like put them together and you get Feige, but like
you get a Megazord.
But you've got like you've got Filoni. Like, I don't know if you've watched on Disney Plus those the Galleria documentaries.
Yes, loved it.
Yeah, like Filoni, like he is probably the biggest Star Wars nerd in all of history. Like, that man could talk for hours about Star Wars and its history and what everything means and the connection. Like, he goes on a tear in the first season, Galleria one, that actually made me appreciate the prequels. Like, it made me go,
yes,
oh, these serve a purpose that isn't complete trash. You know, like he knows his shit. And then you've got Favreau, who knows how to make good content.
He kind of grounds Filoni in a way. Like, Filoni's he's a big fanboy, but of course he's also very creative and he's able to harness these characters. But I think Favreau comes in and kind of grounds it a little bit more, makes it more like, I guess, mainstream for everyone to kind of enjoy these. Like, I love Favreau's direction. Like, and Favreau did help build the Marvel Universe too. I mean, obviously Feige had a lot to do with it, but that first Iron Man, it was all on that film. And Favreau, I remember seeing the documentary of Iron Man. He was on ILM the whole time. He did not want anything to look fake, and that armor sold the movie. You know, if that was clunky or anything, you were gonna be like, I don't buy this. But it's just like these shows they do. You know, pristine special effects, I'd say. Just excellent, and you get to see. You get to see some old toys come alive, right? You've never seen in films before, like the last season of Mandalorian, you know, with that transporter vehicle. I'm drawing a blank, but man, that was so fun to see in action, and the weaponry. Like, this is gonna be cool. It's gonna be like a toy box, but it's gonna be written very well, and I think everyone's gonna dig it a lot. So I'm super excited. I'll be there for sure. And I do like, you know, I like binging shows. But I am happy these new shows are not bingeable, because it's water cooler talk, right? The whole week you were speculating on things, and you know it's in the conversation, and all you gotta do is watch one episode and you're caught up. You don't have to worry about people like, this is how it ends. Of course, you'll have exactly like before. You know, once the last show is released, not everyone's going to, you know, because everyone's had their own idea, right? And of course, that's always going to be disappointing to that person. So, you know, the last episode, like, I didn't like it that much. But hey, I mean, that's the way it is. I think in those cases, you know, just watching them all through, it's more helpful. But I think for everybody, this week by week, it gives you something to look forward to. It's like Mandalorian Fridays, you know?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
Yeah, it's just like it's a nice homage to the way things were before. So yeah, I dig it a lot. So I'm very excited. Let's close out the show with some recommendations.
Yes.
If you want to go first, go right ahead.
All right. Cool. Yeah. I'm going to recommend a comic book. So as I mentioned, I'm a big fan of Magic the Gathering. Well, it just so happens that this week, Boom Studios released Magic. I don't know if it has a subtitle. I think it's just Magic is what it's called, and it's essentially a story about Magic the Gathering. It starts off in. This isn't going to make sense to Magic fans. It starts off on Ravnica in the just post War of the Spark storyline. And so those of you who are Magic fans know what that meant. Those of you who don't, it's a good place to start a story. I'll just say that.
Sure.
I read the first issue and I actually really liked it. The art was really good. I really enjoyed the art. The story was interesting. The dialogue could have used, like, it's not the best dialogue in the world, but you know, it's better than something you get on the CW. So,
sure.
So I'm enjoying it. And yeah, so I highly recommend you check it out. It, like I said, it released this past Wednesday, so you'll probably be able to get it. There's a ton of variant covers. Don't worry about any of that noise. Just get whatever copy you can get of that isn't expensive.
Sure.
And then and it's so yeah, I think it's monthly. For the next, I think this is a 6-issue series. They're just going to try to see how it works and then go from there. And yeah, so that's my recommendation.
Sweet. So that's based off the Magic the Gathering world. Is it like a new story, or is it? Or I mean, like, is it a present story, or does it kind of dip into like the canon already of?
It's dipping into the existing canon.
Okay.
But I should say it's continuing the existing canon.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, about a year ago, maybe it was 2 years ago. Time. What is time? They had a thing called, because I'll try not to get too nerdy.
No, you're fine. You're at the right place. So
they release, I think it's 3 sets a year. And then in addition to what's known as a core set is kind of like the, you know, it's the set to balance out all the other sets. Like they release cards to make the other sets not be as overpowered or underpowered. Sure. So on and so forth. And each set is usually set on a particular world. And they've done like dinosaur, pirate, vampire world.
Damn.
Like they've done all kind of crazy stuff. They recently did like a monster kaiju world. But because the whole idea of Magic the Gathering is there's different planes, different worlds, they call them planes.
Sure.
And there are these characters called planeswalkers that can move between the worlds. They essentially can teleport between the two worlds. And they had this huge event where they were on this plane. Typically, each set is on a different plane. Well, for an entire year, we were on the plane of Ravnica, which is essentially Magic's version of Coruscant. It's a plane that is a city. It is the entire plane is a city, and the city has different guilds in the city that kind of the power of the world is balanced between the guilds. Well, there's this really big bad character named Nicol Bolas, and he had this big great grand scheme that essentially would kill all the planeswalkers and make him a god. This is the kind of level of bad guy he is.
Right.
Well, they had a set called War of the Spark. That's when it happened. There was a big planeswalker battle on Ravnica, and then Nicol Bolas is defeated. The characters kind of are now rebuilding at this point. Now in the game canon, we've moved on. It's been a year ago. We've moved on. The stories have been kind of pumping out. But this comic is kind of revisiting what's happening on Ravnica just post War of the Spark.
Oh, cool.
Which is kind of interesting. I really like it because it's focusing on a couple of characters I enjoy. It was actually a shame because when War of the Spark happened, they were shifting up their creative department and they were trying to put all of the story to happen in novels that they would actually sell. And unfortunately, they did it horribly. Like the novels were not good at all. Like The first one was okay, like it was War of the Spark. It was the actual story of the battle.
Sure.
But then they had a second one, which was like the immediate aftermath. That was, I won't say anymore because I don't want to be mean. There's actually a chapter that starts where the narrator, the omniscient narrator, says such and such character was in her study, and the character says, "Of course I'm in my study. It's my study."
What?
The character broke the fourth wall because the editor couldn't be buggered to read it. Anyway, so
Oh my God, it's terrible.
that's the level of bad we're talking about. This was an actual published novel. Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was bad. So that was unfortunate. This is trying to correct it.
Right.
So,
with images, right?
So,
or I guess the novel probably had images too, or
no, it was a straight novel.
Okay, gotcha.
Typically, Magic's story was done via a novel,
Okay.
but this is a comic book. They're trying to go through a comic book this
Sure.
time, and so far so good. So
it's kind of like,
check it out.
does it
Even
forget
if
the
you don't play
novels
the game,
then, or is it honor the novels?
It's honoring it thus far. Like I think the plan is they're going to basically be like, the major story beats happened, but the nitty gritty details we may get fuzzy with, but we're kind of not sure yet. Like we're,
Right.
like the characters who died, the characters who survived. And then, we kind of pretend like the other non-medium level stuff didn't happen. I think that's kind of how they're handling it at this point.
Makes sense.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
It was a bad time, unfortunately.
Yikes. Well, at least they're course correcting.
That was great. Yeah, the game, the set was great. The cards and that
Sure.
set was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to play during War of the Spark, but not read.
Boy.
Not very good for reading.
Oh boy. Well, at least we got the comic. That's great. That's great. I hope that's successful for them so they can do more.
Yeah, me too.
That's great. I'd like to recommend, I think Nathan's on the same page here, I'm pretty sure. I have a feeling. Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Wow. This show is, what are we 5 episodes in? Is that right? No, I'm sorry. We're 4.
This
We
was
have
the 4th.
2 left. I know. I was panicking because I thought we had 9 of these. Like, I think WandaVision was 9. So I was like, really? We only have 6? Like, ugh. But man, this one just, we won't get into spoilers quite yet, but we will be. So I will warn you. But overall, love the show. It's great. It's definitely darker tone than WandaVision. I could watch WandaVision with my kids. This one, no, I'm not going to. I just don't think, honestly, I think they'd be bored mostly. But that's not like a criticism. I dig it because it's building up a lot of story, and it's, it's playing with a lot of, archetypes that we've seen before in other formats. But yeah, these characters are great. Obviously, from the trailer, there's a new Captain America. So yeah, played by Wyatt Russell, great actor, son of Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. So,
no, I did not know that.
Yeah,
no, it's because I don't pay attention.
He looks like his dad, but he doesn't sound like his dad. So he's, but yeah, I think no, he does not. No, Kurt Russell as Captain America would have been pretty badass. I think he probably never would have accepted it, but.
Yeah, he would have had to cut his hair. Yeah. And that hair is just too luxurious.
Oh, it is, right? Right? It's not a mess at all. It's like, that's just perfect. That's the way it should be.
He's one of the few men on the planet that probably could have pulled off a mullet. Did. I think he did pull off a mullet.
Yeah, he kind of still does. Great facial hair, too. Top notch.
Yes.
I mean, hell, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, so both him and his son are in this world. So this is...
Oh, yeah.
Big
That's
treat.
fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's the new Captain America, and... we get to, see more of the characters played by Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. Great show. If you're not watching it, you need to check it out. And if you haven't seen it already, luckily you can binge a lot of them. You won't be starving for more like we are every week because the cliffhangers can be painful. When they roll to black, and it's like, got to be kidding me. But yeah, it's great. Yeah, like I said, great expansion of the characters we know. And, new characters as well. Fantastic action. It looks like a movie. It's just great. So with that said, we will get into spoilers real quick here, and then we will be done. But for now, anyway, I don't know where to start. I like how how Sam gave up the shield because you did feel it was realistic, like the pressure to take on that mantle, and it seemed like he was getting pressure from the Smithsonian as well. And the government, maybe. So yeah, it was really cool. Like he turned that over, and Bucky, of course, was pissed off because I think Bucky, he was like, well, if you're not the right guy for it, then why wasn't it me? Because in the comics, Bucky is the next Captain America, and it wasn't until recently they changed it to Sam. That was disheartening, that first episode at the end when they have a new Captain America. Sam's watching it, and so is Bucky, and it's like, dude, you got played, man. They totally
Well, yeah. I think, they even, like, I think with Bucky, it's more because they touched on it in the second episode. It was more, it's not so much that I think Bucky wanted to be Captain America himself, because I think, I don't think Bucky wants it either.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more, because he even says it in the therapy session, which was like an amazing scene, because not only was it hilarious, it was also very poignant.
Yes.
There was a scene where he has a line where he basically says, if Steve was wrong about you, then that means that and that you were a worthy to be saved, then that means that he might have been that means that he was wrong about me.
Yes,
meaning that Bucky wasn't worthy to be saved, and that was very like, wow, that was but I really like how they're also playing they're also playing in a space that a lot of places would be afraid to play in. And that's the fact that, like, a lot of the reason why they're hinting heavily that a lot of the reason why Sam didn't want to take it is because he did not, at least on some level, does not feel that America would accept a black Captain America.
Right.
And then they also throw that in with the Isaiah character. And it's just like, wow, they are shying away from spaces that a lot of other shows would have been like, we ain't touching that with a 10-foot pole,
Right. Yeah,
and
we want to keep
like,
it happy-go-lucky. Yeah, we all love each other.
Yeah,
it's Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, exactly. But they even like do like in like right after they meet Isaiah, they do like a random cop.
Yeah,
and it's just like, whoa,
right? Like
they're just not. Like they're not pulling any punches. They're just like, yeah, no, this is where we're at. Now they've gotten away from it a little bit in episodes 3 and 4. They've gone more into the story now.
Yes.
But I'm going to be interested because this shit's going to come back in the next couple episodes, and I'm going to be interested to see how it goes.
I would love to see a flashback with Isaiah and Bucky, maybe. Mm-hmm. Like that's really cool. Like, yeah, that was. I think his character might have been created in the 80s, maybe. I could be wrong, or maybe it was more recently. I do like that aspect, though. Was it?
Yeah, it was in around 2003, 2002. They came out with the book Truth, and it essentially was about how, you're talking to MC, like a comic nerd.
I'm happy to, yeah.
But it came out in like 2002, 2003. It was essentially about how it was revealed in that comic that the government continued experimenting with the super soldier serum, and they were experimenting on Tuskegee, on African-American soldiers, and Isaiah was the only one to survive. And how they and they essentially used him as a mercenary, and he wore the Captain America getup, but he was not advertised back home. They didn't talk about it. And then when he came back, he was essentially put in jail and experimented on for years. And because they wanted to try to recreate, they wanted to try to see, and so Isaiah understandably is like pissed. And
sure,
Sam is essentially looking at that and going, maybe I made the right choice, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. I love that. I hope they explore more of that. That would be something pretty damn cool. And that is very unfortunate, but yeah, that would definitely help Sam make his decision. I would hope. Like that's what my prediction is at the end of the show. Sam will take up the mantle. He will do it, and he'll do it. He'll do it for himself, and he'll do it for Isaiah, and of course Steve, because that's what Steve wanted. And it's gonna be really interesting how the whole super soldier program, right? It's like Captain America should have those abilities. So that's the other question. Obviously, they're pursuing
Flag Smashers.
Yes. So yeah, they're pursuing them, and of course, from this recent episode, because John Walker, he's trying to be all he can be, as Steve Rogers like, but he doesn't have superhuman strength or any of that. So yeah, the Flag Smashers have this serum, and he had an opportunity because I guess back up a little bit. Baron Zemo, man, that's an awesome character they've been able to expand upon. I love how he was wealthy, but then after Sokovia was destroyed, he lost that wealth. And I mean, that's how I'm taking it. His planes and stuff look dated to me, so I wonder if that's, unless I'm just reading it wrong.
Well, I think it's probably that I don't think he lost the wealth. I think the wealth was just there. It's just he wasn't there to make sure it was being updated. Like, sure. I think that's why they were like, that's why they like hinted like his butler looked like his butler looked like he was like 90 years old, because he's been sitting there forever waiting for him to come back. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what they're implying is that he's still ridiculously wealthy, but he just hasn't been using what he had. Yeah.
It's all towards probably defeating the superhumans, if you will, the Avengers. Like he doesn't like any of those people because he knows that they. John Walker is a perfect example of that, which he helps create in a way because he the leader of the Flag Smashers has the vials of super soldier serum, and Baron Zemo just goes in and starts shooting her when he has the opportunity. Like he does not. I mean, he killed the lab dude who made the serum, and they did. It was nice how they said, "Well, I was able to redo the serum a little bit, so it didn't rely on bulky muscles. So it definitely explains like the average Joe can. They don't have to worry about special effects, right? Like making John Walker bigger." Or this girl or any of her group members. I think even Baron Zemo had it almost looked like, because I think he picked up one of the vials, didn't he? And it looked like he might have been thinking about like, he's tempted, but then he drops it and starts breaking all of them. Of course, they stop him. One vial left. John Walker comes in and grabs it. Did you know right when he did that? Did you suspect for sure he was going to take it? Or, I mean, I know especially when he puts it in his pocket. But when he's talking to his friend, though, it's like, did he already take it then, or was he just trying to get his answer still? If he should,
I think at that point he was still deciding. I think that's the whole reason why he asked his friend the question. Like I think he, Battlestar, what was his name?
Lamar.
Lamar. Yeah. He basically, I think that's why he asked the question, because he was debating. He was like, really, should I take this? Should I take? I knew he was going to take it because I knew about in the comics. Like,
of course.
And again, we're in spoilers. So I was surprised they killed Lamar.
Yeah. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah. Because in the comics, he gets it too, and he becomes Battlestar. But I think, and I think this goes into an example of Kevin Feige knowing how to translate the comics to movies. He knows that, yes, that happened in the comics, but it doesn't have to happen in the movies. And maybe they'll keep it in their back pocket and do like a Winter Soldier thing. But I think that he knew it would be too much of a story muddle to try to keep him alive. We need to give John Walker a reason to essentially go
crazy,
Homelander on that guy.
Yes.
And what's a better way than killing his partner? So it made sense from a story perspective. It makes sense. And the fact that he had already taken it, I'm kind of glad they kind of just went to that and just had it be like a reveal in that fight scene, right? Because I think it just would have been too much having him go through like the whole like and just screaming and all that.
Right? Yeah. Like they took a chance on that, didn't they? Like, hey, I'll see you in the morning. Like, what happened after he took it? Exactly. Like, did anything? Did he strap himself to the bed or what?
Well, and it's funny too, because I really like how they're sticking with this theme. And again, this is a theme from a movie that came out like how long ago? Almost 10 years ago now. Excuse me. They're still talking about this theme about like what Erskine was saying was that the serum amplifies the person. So it makes good great and it makes bad worse. And And it was fun. I was talking to Ethan about this, and Ethan mentioned something I didn't think about. Was there's a scene earlier in the series where Sam either Sam or Bucky, one of the two, offhandedly says to him, "Have you ever jumped on a grenade?" And it was hinting to the scene in Captain America when Tommy Lee Jones chucks the grenade out, and everybody else runs, but Steve Rogers, skinny little dude, jumps on it, and he's saying, "Go away, get away!" You know, he sacrifices himself.
Right.
Thinks he does. Grenade. But they say that, but what John Walker says is he goes, "Yeah, 3 actually, it's a helmet thing. It's a whole thing. I won't get into it." But that offhanded comment does a couple of things. One, it lets you know Steve never would have said that. Steve would have ignored the comment. Steve would, John Walker was like, "Well, yes, actually, I have. Aren't I awesome?"
You're right.
Then it also reveals, but also it's a trick because I use my helmet, which makes it that I don't die, which means the stakes aren't as high, so it doesn't really matter as much.
Right.
So with that one little line, it basically says this guy who you think this is an amazing guy actually is a little bit of a drama queen and probably shouldn't be Captain America at all.
Right. He's got PTSD issues. They even refer to that when he's talking to Lamar before he takes the serum, supposedly, about, the things they've seen and all that. So yeah, you already know that's just bubbling up to the surface. And then the serum comes into play, and then Lamar dies, and then he goes ape shit. And we were talking before we started recording, that scene where John Walker beats the hell out of that Flag Smasher dude with the shield. It is an homage to Steve and Tony's fight. Remember when Civil War, you think Steve's going to go for Tony's head, but he goes for the arc reactor. Kind of the same targeting John Walker did. He went to the chest from the looks of it. Yeah. But they did a great thing in not showing you, which is, I think, worse. You can see the people's reactions, and they're filming him, and it's just repeatedly jamming that shield down into the guy. And then, like you mentioned, that shot, it's like the tainted image of Captain America where he gets up, has that pose, and there's this bunch of blood on the shield, and everyone's just horrified. So, and of course, I think that's when we go to black.
Yep.
Of course.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're just seeing all those reaction shots, and I'm going to be very interested to see, because that's because in this world it's basically like it's out. This is on the internet now. This is Captain America just killed a guy seemingly in cold blood. Like, how is that going to play? Like, is the United States government going to say, okay, kidding, he's not Captain America, he's a rogue agent? Like what are they going to do?
That wasn't him.
Yeah, it wasn't him. This is because we're about to hit the penultimate episode, which is going to have some shit happen.
Yes.
Oh, man, I can't wait. I just can't wait for Friday. It's going to be fun.
Oh, I know. I mean, you already had Bucky wanting to steal the shield back, and Sam was just like, no. But this, I think, will get them both on the first page. And from previews, we know they will get their hands on the shield because there's scenes of them like throwing it and stuff. But I don't know which episode that'll be. But that's the other question, though. It's like, can Sam be Captain America without the super soldier serum? He probably can, because he also has the Falcon gear. I'm sure he'll still keep that somehow. I don't know where the hell he'll put the shield at. That'll be interesting. But it just goes to show you, because he was even asked if he was offered it, and he's like, no, I wasn't offered it. And it seems like it's all gone now because John Walker took the last vial, which it's Marvel. They could produce. There's another mad scientist in another bunker somewhere, probably doing some more formula. But it just goes. It's fascinating to know. I'm sure he'll never take it. I don't know if he has taken it in the comics. Do you know if Sam has?
That I can't speak to.
Okay.
I know he's been Captain America in the comics before.
Yes. I just didn't know if that was the requirement. Like, you have to be a super soldier, as well.
I think they'll probably. I'm sure he'll have it by the end, and he'll have the mantle, not the serum. Right. I don't think. Because I think that would be a major character if they had him when Zemo said, unless they give it to him where he's unwilling, unless he gets it in a way that he was not a willing participant in it. And I don't think they'll do that. I think it'll be like he'll be given Captain America. It'll be like what they were going to do with John Walker, and just basically have it be where he has the Falcon gear just repainted.
Yes.
and
maybe a helmet.
He's Captain
That'd
America.
be badass.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be cool. Yeah,
So I will say John Walker looks like such a tool with that helmet on.
Yes.
Like I really want Bucky just to say, "Can you just take that helmet off, please? You look like such a schmuck."
Yeah.
It's like
for
your
sure.
chin and nose just do not work. Like
Right.
it just does not.
Right. Should have been a different type of helmet. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, people made fun of that all over the internet. It's pretty funny. Yeah, it definitely is it's like a Captain America stunt double.
Yeah.
But
Really it is.
I got to think like old Captain America, they act like Captain America's dead. Steve Rogers is dead, but he didn't necessarily die in Endgame. He's just an old man, right?
Well, yeah, but the thing is according to the public, he disappeared. So, because really the only people who know he still exists is still alive.
Yeah.
Is Bucky, or is essentially the Avengers. And I think we're going to see old Chris Evans.
I do too.
I think in the next 2 episodes, one of the 2 episodes is going to have him meeting up with Bucky and Sam and chatting with them in some way.
That'd be cool.
Or it might even be like it may not even be that. Maybe it'll be over the phone, or maybe it'll be a shot of him and old Haley Atwell watching television,
right.
and seeing all this stuff happen. But I think that's going to happen in one of the next 2 episodes. I hope it'd be a fun little thing.
Right. I wanted to see, this is getting off topic, but since Rogers went back, I would love to see an aging Captain America, like dropped in the 70s or something. Maybe he works with Nick Fury. Like, there's so much cool shit they could do. And if Evans does come back, like they kind of talk about, he can age now if they're going to pursue that, right? Because, he went back in time and had a life. So, that doesn't say he didn't do anything with the shield or anything like that. But yeah, I think they do hint at a major cameo, and I'm pretty sure it's Chris Evans. I hope so. We'll see. But yeah, that would be something.
Or they could play us like they did with WandaVision, where he's like, "Oh, when's Benedict Cumberbatch going to show up?" And
yes, exactly. They're good at teasing stuff. They'll alter footage, all that stuff. So yeah. This next episode is going to be pretty intense, but I'm sure they'll get the shield away. But yeah, it's like, Sam, has to watch himself because he is not superhuman. Bucky has to take on John Walker. I mean, because that's the other kind of cool thing. They gradually revealed he had superhuman strength. Because that was why they went over there. They're like, oh shit, they got it. They know where he's at. They're gonna kill him, and so we got to get over there and help him. And then he looks defenseless, and all of a sudden he kicks that dude clear down the stairs, and it's like, oh crap, he took the formula.
Yeah.
It's like shit, and it's all basically because he got his ego bruised from the Wakanda lady who just beat his ass. I mean, shit, they were gonna kill. Spears, they're going to kill. It wasn't going to be just, little scratch here.
I firmly believe the Wakanda guard would still kick his ass even as a super soldier.
Oh, probably. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, they took on
it'd be harder, but they could do it.
Right. They took on the bad Black Panther. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
This show deals with a lot of trauma, but there's like a lot of good humor and heart, of course, and action. So it's not a total like depressing watch. The first scene in this last episode I loved. Bucky was officially deprogrammed. That was a really good scene, and he was so overwhelmed with emotion because he was scared. He was like, she was saying the commands, and he's like, and the funny thing is, in real life, I guess people come up at the Sebastian stand and try to do this. Isn't that crazy?
And he probably just stands there and smiles and just shakes his head.
Like freight car, and he's like, "I'm just trying to get a coffee. Can you just stop, please?"
And he's probably like, it's that's so funny. I haven't heard that 3 times today already.
Yeah, it was great the first time, but that's been like 500 times ago, and
I guarantee you, the first time it happened, he probably went, "Oh shit, I'm gonna have to deal with this for years."
It's kind of a problem, but kind of cool at the same time. But yeah, this show's great. I hope we see these guys very soon after the show wraps.
Yeah.
I want to see more. And of course, once the pandemic's over, more movies will be made. So that'll be helpful. But loving the show. Super excited. I look forward to every Friday. So and then we'll have, I believe we'll have Loki after this maybe, and then Hawkeye. So Loki's going to be a trip itself. I think it's going to be WandaVision mixed with some Falcon Winter Soldier, like action wise, it's going to be really trippy, but good cast. Yeah, they know what they're doing. That's for damn sure. Recommend that. Check that out if you haven't. I'll probably watch it one more time because that was just jam-packed with craziness.
Yep.
So, well, before we go, Nathan, please plug your network again.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah. So if you want to check the CiP Network out, you can go to the CiPnetwork.com. You also can search for us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Also, when you go to our website, we have a store there. We have a merch store for both the CiP Network as well as Echelon Graphic Novels, which is the graphic novel or is the publishing house that Ethan has, and so he has a set of merch there. But we also have a bookstore as well of all of the books that Ethan has made. And he has made a lot of them. So go there and check that out on the CiPnetwork.com. There's a store there, and you can get our merch, their merch, all that stuff. And yeah, just like I said, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I think we're the CiP Network on Instagram as well.
Sure.
Yeah, check us out. We're wherever you can find stuff. We have a lot of the stuff we put out as podcasts as well. So just search for the CiP Network or Creativity in Progress on on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, all those fun places, and you'll be able to find us.
Fantastic.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Everyone out there, please subscribe. And of course, we're on all those things mostly. Not video yet, but we're getting there. So yeah, check us out as well. Field of Geeks. Yeah, thanks a lot for being on, Nathan. This was a lot of fun. I think we could have talked for a lot more, more hours. But
well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, sure, yeah, and yeah, we'd be happy to have you back anytime. So,
awesome.
Again, thank you. And with that said, we'll be back. I'm Josh.
I'm Nathan. Bye.
Bye.